What is going on? Happy Monday morning. If you're listening to this on Monday morning, if you're listening to this at another time, happy that time. What's going on? Welcome to the Risen Fallen podcast. I am your host, Mark Hendrickson. If you're brand new to this show, then what you can expect is open and authentic conversations about things like mental health, self-development, and how to get your life moving in the right direction. If you're not feeling good about where you are right now, at least having the confidence knowing that you're moving, one step closer to who you'd like to be, what you'd like to be doing, and all that sort of stuff. So the main point I like to drive home is that you are not alone no matter what you're going through, and life can and will get better for you. And also, it's been beautiful weather here recently. I know it's actually about to rain, I think, this weekend, but it's like Friday for me right now, or Thursday for me right now, actually. And I think this weekend it's going to rain, but by the time this is out, it's Monday. So we're over that and we are rocking and rolling. So hope that you guys are doing well. I hope that you enjoyed the weekend. I've got a busy weekend lined up, which is why I'm pre-recording this episode a couple days in advance. Usually it's pretty much like the day before or maybe 2 days before, but so I'm doing this a couple days in advance. And this week has been a hell of a week. It's been a very busy week for me. I started a project. For those of you that don't know, I am a carpenter. I do home renovations, restoration work in Vancouver here. And so this week I'm going to just tell a little bit of a story and then I'll kind of get into why. So this week I have been doing a lot of rot repair, little rot removal. Basically a deck had a leaky membrane, and then they put a membrane on top of that leaked, and then they put a membrane on top of that leaked like 4 times over the span of probably like 25 years. And and so I get a call from a roofing company, and they basically say, can you come and reframe some of the rotten wood here, just clean it up a bit. And so the thing about rot removal is, you don't really know how much damage there is until you start to uncover it and take it all apart. Because when you're just looking at a house, you look at the house and you're like, okay, well, I can see like this little corner, maybe like a few inches is like rotten or whatever on the outside. And then you start taking that off and start taking it off, and pretty much everything underneath that, because water goes downwards. That's how gravity works, if you believe in that. And if you don't, well, that's just how water works. It goes downwards. And so, like, if you've got a leaky roof, then the entire wall most likely can be compromised. So it depends on how long you let it kind of get damaged and how long it takes for you to actually address it. But you never know. You literally never know. Sometimes you pull things apart and you're like, wow, this actually for some reason just worked out well because the water had a place to escape and, there's not that much damage. However, in this case, sometimes you start taking it apart and the entire side of the house is completely rotten out. And so instead of just reframing the deck on the second story, you're now having to reframe the deck. But first, you got to reframe the wall that it sits on. It's kind of and all the joists and everything like that. And so that's the other thing is so once you get into this discovery phase, figuring out like how much damage is actually done, then you really have to come to terms with the fact that there's no like kind of half-assing it. You kind of have to you got to get everything that's moldy and rotten out. You can't leave, like you can't have like a perfectly framed deck and have that like sit on top of a bunch of rotten moldy wood, because eventually it's just going to crumble. And then where does that, again, if you believe in the gravity concept, then obviously that's going to come down. If you don't, it's still going to come down, right? That's the way that buildings work, I guess. And this is where I want to make a little joke about Tower 7, but that's just how it works. Anyways, so you have to go in and actually like remove all the rot that's in there. You have to remove all the damaged goods, right? Like all the lumber, all the, whether it's the siding, whether it's the framing, whether it's the sheeting, whatever is rotten, whatever is compromised, you have to remove it all. And as you cut away a little bit more and reveal a little bit more, you have to take it back to the point where it's like actually good, sturdy, solid, like foundational, structural wood or concrete or whatever it is you're dealing with. And so you might be asking yourself, why am I listening to this self-development mental health podcast? And this guy is just talking about basically removing a bunch of gross, rotten, moldy wood from a house. And so the reason I brought that up is because, I think that it kind of works as a good metaphor for a lot of things that we have in our lives. Like the first thing, obviously you're thinking about, you never know how much damage there is. You never know how much rot there is. Well, that rot could be pretty much anything. Like that rot could just be like negativity, anger, sadness, depression, self-loathing, a tendency to, have these self-sabotaging habits, those types of things. And the reality is you're never going to really know how much negativity you foster within your own life, within your own like body and spirit and mind and just the essence of your life, if you don't actually take a good look at yourself. You don't actually take, quote unquote, take inventory, take stock, do a self audit. Some people like to say. And so, to actually take a good look at yourself and think about, I'm not to get into like this, mushy gushy, like, sitting in your trauma and being like, oh, well, this impacted me this much and I have all this trauma and all this stuff this weight that I carry and, this anxiety, yes, you have to acknowledge it for sure. But the next step is you have to get rid of all that negativity. And I'm not saying you can live this life where you're just like always feeling positive and always feeling, but you can start to notice when that negativity or that rot is starting to creep in. And then, I guess the best way to say it, to wrap it up, is that just like piling on those membranes, those like surface level, literally the surface level, if you're just slapping on those Band-Aid solutions, eventually it's going to catch up to you. And that's how that negativity and that, that stuff catches up to you. It is, are you going to wait until you've got water dripping into your house and you've got to use buckets? Are you going to wait until the wall starts falling? Are you going to wait until, or are you just going to see, hey, there's a big crack there, or this membrane's failing, or, and instead, maybe I should cut open and dissect this a bit and see if there's any damage instead of just slapping on this one quick little solution, And the thing is, as well, is like the beautiful thing about, mental health or self-development or overcoming trauma or any of these things, changing behavioral patterns is, it's not like, in construction a lot of the time, because of building codes, because of regulations, because of all this red tape and Lord knows some people out there need it. But because of that, a lot of the time when you have an issue, and maybe this is in relation to what the products are out on the market or whatever, suppliers, but typically there's like one fix. There's two fixes. There's the cheap fix and there's the proper fix. You could do it cheap or you could do it right. And, it's usually like one prescribed thing. Like it's like, oh, there's that rot. And so we just cut it out and replace it. And then cosmetically fix the damage after that. Like that's pretty much how it rolls. But in life, like in regards to your mental health or your physical health or anything like that, it's not like there is. And I guess this is kind of like a negative and a positive thing at the same time, but it's like, it's not like there is just one way to fix things. Because in some ways it's easier. Like in construction, it's like, oh, there's this issue, so this is how you fix it. Like I've done it a million times, and that's the line of work, right? And you kind of get used to, oh, this is that problem. Well, then this is how we fix it. And of course, every single instance, every single, like time that you encounter these types of things, it is different, to some degree, but usually there's at least a pattern you can follow, and I guess that's kind of the same way. Maybe they are a little bit more similar than I was first anticipating, but I guess maybe that is one of the ways that it is similar because a lot of the times you can, yeah, like I said, notice these patterns. If you have, social issues that you have, or, maybe you struggle getting along with people, you struggle maintaining conversations or feeling comfortable talking to people, or, maybe not getting in altercations with them, controlling your emotions with people, like those types of things. Well, the ways that you can do that is obviously practice it. You can read books about it. There's all these different ways you can start to attack the problem. And, what is the real answer? Is it reading the books about getting along with others, or is it actually doing it? Because I can tell you that for me, in regards to that, like I've read, I don't know, probably 5 or 6 books in the last couple of years about like kind of just getting along with people and kind of having better conversations, being able to see eye to eye with people that I don't agree with. But really, what happened, like what I think I learned from the most is kind of social interactions, actually getting my feet wet, getting myself, a little skin in the game. Because what I learned from most isn't just like the positive interactions, because positive interactions can happen on a surface level. You can have a conversation with somebody at a gas station, have a positive interaction with them, pretty surface level. But I think what I learned from more is kind of the negative interactions that I have with people. And the reason why is obvious because, I don't like the feeling afterwards that I get. I hate that feeling of like maybe driving home after, or like when they've, whatever, and you're just sitting at home and you're just like, man, I really don't feel good about that conversation I just had. I'd really just like hate that I said this or said that, or I should have kept my composure here, or maybe I should have spoken up. I really wish I spoken up about this thing. Like more of the time it's what we don't do, that haunts us a little bit more. But I think where was I going with that? I think with the best way to kind of, oh yeah, I was thinking about how there's so many different ways to work on yourself, to do, and you can attack it from all angles. You can read books, you can listen to podcasts, you can you can go out and do these actual interactions. You can journal about past interactions that you've had and think about, am I proud of that, or do I feel guilt about that, or should I feel guilt about that, or why do I feel guilt about that? All of these different things. I think like that is kind of the beautiful thing is there's not just one way to fix it. In fact, there's so many different ways to even that can be paralyzing. And so, but also like with, fostering negativity or anything like that in life, when it comes to construction, replacing rot. The longer you wait to take action on like, okay, I'm just going to fucking start attacking this thing the best way I can. Like if you just, because sometimes, I think a lot of us, we intend on making a plan. Like okay, we're going to like, okay, I want to do this thing. And so before I do this thing, I have to plan it out. And then we were like, okay, but I can't plan it out right now because I need to have like a good 6-hour period where I can sit down and spend a whole day on it, And so we plan it out. And then we never get the perfect plan because we're like, okay, I need to think about step 4, 5, and 6. Like, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? You're like, and it's not unwise to try and plan for the future and have foresight. In fact, I wish I did a lot more in my life, but I think a lot of us can stop ourselves from building momentum or maintaining momentum in life because we think, oh, I have to plan out these next few steps. And a lot of the time, we don't even know what those steps are. We don't even know where we haven't taken inventory, and sometimes you just can't even plan until you see what you have going on. Because if you think about that metaphor I'm using earlier about like doing the rot replacement, if someone's to ask you before you even open up the building, how many 2x4s you gonna need? It's like, dude, I don't know yet. I can't tell you that step of the plan yet, because like we got to actually dissect the issue here. We got to actually open the wall up, and that's the shitty and uncomfortable thing is like you got to trust. You got to have faith, and you got to be able to say like, okay, I'm not even in the position yet. I'm not even able to make a good, accurate, tactical, precise plan for step 4, 5, and 6 because I haven't done step 1, 2, and 3 yet. And maybe you can't even plan for step 2 and 3 yet, but it's like, dude, I want to go in this direction. I want to fix this problem. I want to do this. I want to do that. Like, how about you just start on step 1? Because, if you stop and you don't come back to it or whatever it is, like, hey, like at least you got step 1 done. And I don't know if that makes sense or, whatever, but I think, I don't know. I hope that makes sense. I think that kind of is a cool metaphor, and you guys can let me know what you think about that. Maybe I'm completely missing the mark right now, but that's what's going on in my mind. And it was really, even honestly, the reason I thought about even recording this is because I was thinking in my head, a couple days ago about the things that I was going to be doing today. And I was kind of stressing out and getting a little bit, frustrated because I couldn't visualize, certain things, or I couldn't, I'm like, how am I going to do this or how am I going to do that? And I was like, just do what you need to do right now, and maybe that doesn't make me sound as credible as, I'd love to be like, oh, I have the answer to everything all the time. And I'm sure that would be like advantageous in business if I did have the answer to everything all the time. But the reality is I don't. Sometimes you don't know 100% what you're getting yourself into until you just start. But you see a problem and you're like, okay, I'm going to solve this problem. And so the best thing I can do right now is the first step. And then we'll go from there, and we'll sometimes you got to figure it out on the way. Yeah, I guess that's a cool way to end this. I had a boss a long time ago, and he told me about the FITFO principle, FITFO. And it was just basically figure it the fuck out. And that was it. Like, I'd be like, hey, dude, how do I do this, this, this? And he'd be like, FITFO, buddy. And I'd be like, figure it the fuck out, and it was, a lot of people might be like, hey, that's a pretty shitty thing to do as a boss. And sometimes it is. Like, obviously it's nice to coach somebody through certain things, but at the end of the day, you don't want to just have a bunch of people that are reliant on you. And at the end of the day, you don't want to be reliant on others for 100% of the things in your life. I think a lot of us, in terms of needing autonomy and responsibility, etc., sometimes we need to develop that skill of just figuring it the fuck out. And so on that note, I think that's a beautiful place to wrap this up. I am going to get going to a jiu-jitsu class I don't want to be late for. So on that note, much love. Peace out. See you all next Monday. Bye.